What's going on, everybody? Today is October 2nd. We are in October. It is Monday, and you are watching the Daily AI Show live. We got a few of us today. Andy's just rebooting, and he'll be back momentarily. Robert, welcome. Didn't think you were going to make it today, so happy to see you.
Barely made it.
There's Andy.
Sliding in at the last minute.
Yep, we got everybody here. It's all right. It's a Monday. Computers are having a Monday too. Mine was. I did a reboot this morning, and then when I upgraded to my phone to the iPhone 15, I lost all the data for one of my two-factor auth apps, and that has caused all sorts of problems because it was not part of the phone backup. Don't ask me why. You would think that'd be part of the phone backup, but it wasn't. And it locked me out of LinkedIn. It locked me out of all sorts of things this morning. So it has definitely been a morning for me as well. Today, we are talking about a fairly new recent event. We don't always do that, but I thought this one was definitely worth talking about. And that's Meta, aka Facebook, if you like, releasing quite a few different AI tools and process, some more probably valuable to people than others. But I thought it's so interesting as some of these big players are emerging in the space. And not that Facebook Meta has not been in the AI space at all. But I think the one that a lot of people are waiting on is Apple. Obviously, I think there'll be probably a great conversation about what they have coming up and what they've already been doing. People building models in secret and knowing about it. You know, there's always something going on. But maybe Meta isn't the one, you know, with all the talk about OpenAI. The biggest thing really is, I think, been like Llama 2 and how they made that open source. And so that's like the last big thing from 2023 up until this last week. And again, we're recording this on October 2nd, if you happen to be listening to this a little bit in the future or on replay. But they really had a couple of different...
From the future.
For the future, yeah. They had a couple different things. And so I'll list out a few of them, and then I would love to just open it up to you guys. What do you know about it? What do you think about it? Did this kind of hit you guys as a big deal? Is this just a, you know, like, I don't know, it's just another thing or whatever. I have my opinions. I'll hold them here for a second. But, you know, they have some new things with AI stickers that they were talking about. AI stickers turning text prompts into unique, high-quality stickers. There was that. They have two new Restyle and Backdrop, two new things that added to image editing. They have the Meta AI Assistant, which is going to be available on WhatsApp, Messenger, Instagram, and then also what they released with their Ray-Ban Meta glasses, which I'll be really interested to talk to you guys about where the ethical and all the good things that come with that are. And then they have this really interesting thing they're doing with like AI characters where it's like Tom Brady, but Tom Brady is not Tom Brady. He's playing a character named Bro or something to that effect. And there's a whole bunch of other ones. I think there was a Jenner in there or a Kardashian. I'm not really sure. There's a whole bunch of different famous figures, and they were sort of playing characters. Snoop Dogg was a Dungeons and Dragons master, I believe, in one of them. And so they had some really interesting things they were doing there that I thought were pretty cool with, you know, crossing over to, you know, social media and what they're known for. And then last but not least, before we dive in here, AI Studio, which I have as the platform that supports business and creators with building AI solutions. And they hinted that a sandbox is coming soon. And that really piqued my interest as well. Okay.
Did you mention Emu?
What's that?
Emu? Did you mention
No,
Emu?
I didn't mention Emu. But good call on that too. Yeah, I didn't have that in my notes, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Emu's their image, text to image generator that they're putting together. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that. Honest to God, I forgot about that when I was putting the notes together. Okay, I guess let's jump in. What you know, I think the answer is going to be stickers, but you know, that's the most important thing here. I thought that's what Andy was going to say, but you know, no. What are you guys of all that I just mentioned, or Emu, or anything else that you knew about the event? What excites you the most about this?
Well, I'm going to go a different direction. What is it not? Well, I mean,
never mind all that stuff.
The problem with that topic is like, it's okay. This screams out of touch. All of these releases scream to me, Meta's out of touch with what people need, because Google already got the whole Google Glass thing didn't work out for the reasons that you're probably going to discuss. And so they're going to revisit it because Google didn't figure it out yet. I don't know. So that was number one. Number two is nobody asked for this with the talking to Tom Brady, Bob, or whatever. Why all of a sudden did they think they know better? And then, the stickers, I guess they're trying to one up emojis. And so that's their version of that. So I just feel like it screams, we're at a touch, like the whole metaverse. They were playing that game hard for a while and it hasn't caught on yet.
I got to push back, and I know Junmi does too. Junmi, go ahead, push back hard.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Robert, we're not the customer. That's the main thing. Facebook, all of those little things, the AI stickers and the characters and everything, that's their customer base, right? That's the people who are using emojis and talking with each other. And this is not the business model is to keep all of their customers and bring in new customers to stay on their platform. It's not for businesses. That all of that stuff, they are speaking to their customer base. They're not speaking to their business partners. That's
I wasn't even thinking business partners, because Facebook is grandma's now.
Facebook, but they also own Instagram, WhatsApp. They own, those are massive. My daughter lives on Instagram, and that's one of her favorite. It's either Instagram or TikTok, for the reels. I mean,
it's all about grabbing more attention and adding a little more things to keep more people on.
Convert Robert. So he needs some help understanding the long-term vision of what is going on in the intersection between what VR ultimately will become with the assistance of AI and AI. So one of the things that Zuckerberg said in his introduction to this whole idea was, eventually you're going to see these spaces in which there are people who are interacting live, but there are also AI guys in there. So now imagine Zoom. If you've used Zoom, now we're getting AI representatives of somebody, from Fathom or whatever. So that's the idea, is that there are digital or virtual spaces that we already attend, and AI is going to be present in those for various purposes. Snoop Dogg will be there to give you, advice on some, subject of his knowledge, let's say recreational drugs. And there will be other people who are experts and others represented by AI characters who, as we've seen, Meta has now introduced the idea of celebrity attendance to these spaces. And now let me shift to another thing that makes this make sense to me. One is that there are creators out there. AI, generative AI, is really a new palette and canvas for anybody who's doing any kind of creation. Instagram is one of the main placements for anything that you create. AI makes total sense in that context, that now give easy to use generative capabilities, both image and text and voice, and put those in the hands of the people who are in the space that's the largest space for creation in the world, right? There's no other larger than Instagram, to my knowledge. Well, TikTok. So those things together make sense to me. I have read all of the pushback that I'm hearing from Robert on this, but I just go, no, this is going to go beyond pie. It's not you're just talking to one AI that's conversational and is respectful and empathetic and human. There's going to be digital representations of you. And this is where Lex Friedman then comes in and gives a demonstration of just how sophisticated Meta's AI capabilities are in representing you as an individual. So now imagine that you have a personal representation of you. And this leads into the longer term view. I think that through what Meta is doing, my children and my grandchildren will be able to interact with a representation of me that's really faithfully generated from lots of content that I've created.
Well, slow down. That gets into the ethical pieces of whether you should be doing that or not. I think that we'll come to a point where there'll be a conversation where we shouldn't be talking to our dead relatives because there needs to be a grieving process. There's an emotional, psychological thing that happens. So that's a whole nother topic that we can go. But everything else you talked about,
I don't think it's during the wake. I don't intend to be present at the wake. But
thank you for coming to my funeral. I am very happy to see you all here.
I mean, you say you guys keep going down. You keep going down that road. I'm telling you, that's going to be a thing. And not to sour this, but like my aunt literally did pass away over the weekend, and she was instrumental. And my mom passed in 2008, so my aunt played a lot of role and was there for my daughter when she was born, when my mom couldn't. And so all these amazing things. She's passed. She's no longer with us. For a while now, I could not have conversations with her. There was deteriorating health along the way. I'm not saying that in a couple of weeks when I may be at her celebration of life, when they do that you're right, that I want to see an AI representation of my aunt. But I think about her grandchildren. I think about my cousins, her daughters. I think about the people in her life who she was much, much closer than where I was as a nephew, and how that may help them. And I look at the Lex Friedman podcast, which I'm going to pull up really quick because I feel like it's not everybody is.
While you're doing that, I want to push back again on one of Andy's things. It's great to hear all these opinions. Unfortunately, they're all wrong. But I'm just kidding. So the other thing about these, talking to Snoop Dogg, like again, it's sideshow junk that's not going to stand the test of time. It's novelty. It's kind of like it's the whole idea from Jurassic Park. They didn't ask why. They asked if we could, not if we should. Like why nobody's going to use that in a year from now. That's going to be a passing fancy. And then recently on TikTok, just so you know, hold on TikTok, just so you said Instagram and the perfect medium for this. Now TikTok has got a new label, creator labeled as AI generated. So now you can actually create a whole TikTok account, create content that's all AI generated and get likes and get shares. And then people are going to start ignoring those. That's not going to be valuable content to me or to people. So they're going to start to, as you talked about before, emails that we know are coming from an AI that's like, you just picked out all of my social media and my LinkedIn profile to send me an email. I'm going to ignore that because we've gotten trained. Our brains are training to ignore those things. Same thing for the content. So,
but that's only because I know that is attempting to falsely present itself as the person. Right. That's why.
And so it's false.
I know it's an AI and I've become accustomed to interacting with AIs in the metaverse. That's a totally different game. Now imagine that you're going to actually go into a game and there are really sophisticated AI characters in there that persist, not just one that kind of walks around like a robot. We're talking about that learns and that has knowledge about you. Those will be almost indistinguishable to players from real characters, real humans who are operating their avatars within that space.
So we also need to remember that when a service is free, that people interact with, you are the product, right? There is a revenue stream that comes from your interaction with the service. And this, from Meta's perspective, creates more interaction, right? So I don't know, 5 years ago, there were BuzzFeed, like, which bagel would you be, right? And there was a ton of all of those kind of quiz things and people were sharing them and they were talking about like, I'm a poppy seed, you're a garlic. And that created a profile for Meta to be able to target, Facebook at the time, to be able to really accurately target leads to eyeballs. I don't see that this is that different. I think it's just the next iteration. And from Meta's perspective, it makes perfect sense. I mean, I agree with like woohoo stickers, but I think the people who are, when I say ChatGPT start to sweat in their eyeballs, will see the stickers and say, okay, this is a bite-sized AI. I can play with this.
But don't you see Meta's all these things they launched seemed like out in left field from Google and from Microsoft and from all the big players. It's like you went a different direction. Not that maybe I'll go back on your camp. Not that it's wrong or right. It's just it's definitely different than everybody else is doing, good or bad. It's just like why are you doing it so much of a departure from the other things that people were
if we look at
users of the Facebook ecosystem, right? Yeah. That those are people who are interacting in social media. The users of Google and Microsoft, they've gone the direction of building out for businesses. Like everything they've released for Google Cloud Platform, that's for businesses, that's for enterprise. That isn't for the everyday person. SGE is probably going to affect, the everyday person and their search and things like that. But for the most part, all the things they've released is on enterprise and business focused.
Oh, but wait till Clippy. When Clippy comes,
and what do you do if you are Meta and have been totally barreling down this road as well, and you discover that you're not, right? Like people are moving in a different direction. It seems like Meta is playing the role of trickster at this point, right? Like, screw it. Here's the model. Let's do this. We have a commitment to open source, commercialized open source. I don't know that was always their commitment until it sort of needed to be, and it seemed to work.
Yeah, I think they're purposely being the nonconformist. Like they're purposely kind of doing something differently. Yeah, that might be their strategy. And like you said, they have a unique platform, Jimmy. That they are specifically this audience. Whereas they're not really business, although businesses have used them to advertise to that audience.
Yes, that's where I wanted to push back real quick. I don't know to push back, but to clarify, I mean, yes, the target end user audience for Meta are perhaps my 12-year-old and as she grows, right? Just like McDonald's wants to get you with, the warm, fuzzy feelings of being a kid. For me, it was eating my dad taking me there on a Saturday and eating the pancakes in the styrofoam that still exists in a landfill today, the yellow ones, and cutting them with the plastic knife with the syrup on them. That is baked into my brain as a warm, fuzzy feeling from my childhood. And although I don't eat McDonald's today, their goal in that was to get me to associate McDonald's with warm, fuzzy childhood memories. Chuzzies. I'm going to market that.
There you go.
We now sell you Chuzzies. But my point to that is, like, obviously Meta wants to get you in their ecosystem as early as possible. And yes, there's a lot of ethical things and moral things we can talk about children and social media and all that. But I want to put that aside for a second, because obviously, just like I was doing back in 2015, I was helping other companies do it. I was optimizing ads on Facebook for businesses to reach out to new people, because prior to that, if you remember, on Facebook, you could sell the hell out of your business for free on LinkedIn, and the model was not optimized against you. And then they basically flipped the switch and they put lots of businesses out of business, because what was happening was they were saying, hey, you got to pay to play now. You can't just be on here and talk to this big giant audience and get access to all of them for free. That's not the way this works anymore. And that 2014, 2015 model, we saw lots of businesses super struggle. And then what do they need to do? They need to learn how to optimize for the ad revenue. So now let me take this to Meta, and I'm just going to share my screen while I talk about this, because I realized I couldn't do this in Spotify. So I pulled it up into YouTube really quick. But just so everybody else is also share Terra audio. I want to make sure you can hear it. I want to make sure everybody is aware of what we're talking about here.
These avatars can capture many of the nuances of facial expressions that we humans use to communicate.
Okay.
I don't know if people can see this, but this is incredible. The real
expressions. And we've built a computer model of sort of each of our faces and bodies and the different expressions that we make and collapse.
Okay, so real quick for our audience here.
Yeah.
I mean, real quick. Number one, if you're not blown away by the detail of the freckles on Mark's face, holy crap, right? So they were in two different places, Austin and wherever they were. They were two different locations, and you can see they had the cameras on. Now, they said they weren't trying to like bait and switch anybody. This was a apparently several hour lengthy process to get the image mapping that needed to be done for this. So this is not a, hey, anybody can do this.
But that's
tomorrow.
one time. That's one time. You have to get scanned and you have to, kind of create your avatar, just like you do with HeyGen, right? You have to clone the voice. You have to do all that stuff. And then the AI can actually do this in real time.
But can I do this? Can it make my beard move?
Maybe.
Eventually. That's better.
But let's just look at this really quick, because I want to talk about the meta side of things, because this is where my brain goes with this. Okay. So first of all, to your point, Andy, you're right. What Zuck said was like, hey, eventually we want you to be able to do this and get the same result, right? From your home, from your phone. Not there yet. Technology is not there. That's where they're moving, right? Also, not full body. You can kind of see Lex Freeman's at the beginning, but it's not really meant to be a full body in space. Obviously, it was just a dark black nothingness void around them, which I thought Mark Zuckerberg made a good point that kind of fit Lex Freeman's podcast model, which I thought was like perfectly said, that there would be nothing around them because he's so Matrix. Like kind of monotone. But here's what I want to say. I when they changed their name to Meta, like a lot of people, I was like, what are they doing? I mean, okay. And now all of a sudden Gucci is going to sell in the meta space and people are selling virtual land in the meta space. And there was these Nintendo Wii characters from, 2003, somewhere in that range. And I'm like, what are we doing?
Don't you remember Second Life?
Huh?
Don't you remember Second Life? Remember Dwight from The Office had a Second Life character that he was also a regional sales manager, but he could fly.
But I only because I don't watch The Office. But yeah.
Okay.
My point is, you see something like this, and you go, just like Lex was, and you go, oh, I see. They weren't trying to make Wii characters. They were setting themselves up for a future where it looks like this. And then I think Mark had a really good point on this podcast. This is a really good podcast to go listen to Mark, because he's not predicting the future. He keeps saying every time, I don't know, this will be an interesting social experiment. It'll be interesting to see how the professionals, the psychologists, so whatever, look at this and figure out why this matters, or whether people care that it's an avatar, to your point, Andy, or whatever. Then he went on to say, like, how many things in our life could be replaced with a digital replacement? Does your TV need to really be on the wall? Maybe, maybe not. Do you need to have a physical book and see that on a table in front of you with the AR stuff? Maybe, maybe not. So I look at this as a long-term play with technology that isn't necessarily there, with answers that we don't necessarily know where it's going to go. But if I had to bet on somebody, I'm betting on Meta to figure this out. Bigger than all the other people out there. Okay,
if only they had a technology that could capture your likeness and send that over the airwaves in real time. Oh, wait, a camera. Yeah, they already have this. They don't need to create an avatar. They have a real version that actually happens. Why do we need an avatar in a space? I know they're going to say because that way we can go walk around Paris together in a virtual Paris. I don't want to.
No, it's more about asynchronous attention. Robert,
I know.
Robert, yes. What you're talking about is all synchronous for the human. This enables asynchronous attention, and that's the difference.
Explain.
So when my Otter AI goes into a Zoom as my representative, it's collecting everything as if I were there. Right. But I don't have to attend to it synchronously at the same time. I don't have to be present. I can be somewhere else. And then I can go back and ultimately inhabit that space. And my AI, actually said some things in that meeting, when it was asked a question. And I can review that in some future moment like that. Asynchronous.
Yeah, I don't see that to be a thing.
This for me is the challenge and the risk, because if your AI is showing up as you and responding in that moment, you are responsible for that, but not in control of that, right? Like we are prompting course leaders, and we're all like hanging out with that this is a probability situation and not an exact. And I'm not sure that the sync up of I can make my avatar look relatively like me and speak is going to like sync up with the probability is that it's going to say what I would want to say.
And also how narcissistic do you have to be that I'm too important to go to this meeting? I have so many meetings. I'm double booking everything. So I'm going to send my avatar there. And what does that tell you? The people that actually came to the meeting in real time. So I'm not the only one.
Your otter is saying that anyway.
No, a lot of people are saying this. Note takers are just so I can go back to after the fact, but I'm already here. And so the fact that people are sending that can actually respond on your behalf, that is getting a lot of pushback from people. I've read online and seen lots of videos.
No doubt, it's an edgy as part of this. It's a facet that's a little weird, maybe even a little creepy, and we don't know how to react to that. But the next generations are going to figure it out, and they're going to have AI representatives. Let me shift to glasses now. So it's easy to say, "Oh, poo-poo." Been there, done that. Google Google Glass fell on its face. So what is Meta doing? Well, I think it's brilliant.
Why? I agree. Why did Google fall on its face?
I want one of those because I want real-time access to AI, and I want the ability to add images to my queries. Right.
Sure. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Now, all that's brilliant, but you forgot why they stopped. And they stopped because nobody wants to be filmed all the time. I think everybody's doing it already, right? With YouTube videos or whatever. But you don't know.
That's because the person who was wearing Google Glass looked like an android. This is a beautiful pair of Ray-Bans, right?
Also, people are. I think that the zeitgeist has shifted about this.
Oh, I love that word.
We are being filmed all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I'll agree with you on that it wasn't ready in its iteration, and we had to wait for the younger people that are constantly filming everything to be old enough now, and they're going to buy the crap out of these. So yeah, I agree with that. They already been trained to be always being filmed, and I would love to have these 100%. And I'd love to have responses. I'd love to be like, what is this building I'm looking at? Or can you translate this Chinese menu to English for me? Oh my gosh, this is like, I'm getting goosebumps. I want these. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I feel like they're going to fail because of all of the...
This is also a hell of an accessibility device.
Oh gosh. Yeah. 100%. Anybody with, any with hearing disorder or blind people can wear it. I mean, all kinds of stuff, I guess.
Well, how about translation?
Translation, right? Of course, right?
Yeah. So like that's immediately what I thought when I heard about this. It's like I can speak in real time. The tech is there to speak in real time, or to listen to someone, in real time in their own voice, translated into my language. If they've got a pair, then it happens seamlessly. You've got apps on your phone that can translate what you're saying into their language in your voice.
I just want subtitles for movies, real movies, like all the time, because I can't watch a movie without subtitles anymore. So that'd be awesome.
And the GPS that acknowledges that the road is closed, that it wants you to go down. Right? Yeah. Like, let's just do that real time.
These are less expensive than many sunglasses that my daughter's buying.
I have Oakleys that are very similar. I mean, $299 is the intro. The polarized are $329. For what you're getting at that price point, I mean, they didn't come in as the Oculus where they were $1,500 or whatever the case was. I mean, these are at a very competitive price to sunglasses or very nice Ray-Bans. I mean, Oakley's a nice pair of Oakleys. I mean, it's going to be $200. The polarized is going to go above that or whatever. So I think when you look at the accessibility of this from a price point, here's the thing I think is interesting too, and this is more from a social aspect. I know we're wrapping up on time when you do DLDR, but really quick, I saw a thing a long time ago, and it was about Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. And look, you get to that level of celebrity and fame, and he really has to make a choice, right? I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm sure Tom Hanks is legit a nice guy. I don't think they're acting. At a certain point, how many times has Tom Hanks been severely pissed off by somebody or really annoyed by somebody who's been a true ass? And
Christian Bale, Dennis Quaid,
and he, through his teeth, he said, okay, nice to meet you. Yeah, one more picture, right? And The Rock has actually talked about this, about how the being in the public eye has sort of not forced him to be different, but it has forced him to change how he acts. Now, Maybe for Roberts of the world or whatever, you're not going to change one bit. If somebody's got these cameras on, everybody's got these cameras on. 50% of the population now has cameras facing you at all time. Is Robert going to change? Probably not. But I think a lot of people are going to change how they interact with other people, and it's going to force them to be nicer people.
Oh my gosh.
See this as
Baker people. Calm down, Brian. This is an episode of, what's it called on Netflix? Episode of Black Mirror, where I forgot the girl that plays in the Jurassic Park movies, but she was in there and she was like going to get a coffee and like being real nice to the people, and they would give each other likes in real time, and everybody was so fake. And toward the end of the movie, she was finally like in prison and she was able to be herself, and she was cussing at the guy next to her. My point is, I don't want that world, because that's gonna be fake.
It's coming. Whether we want it or not, you're going to interact with people in like the next month who have these glasses on. You're going to come face to face with somebody. You're not going to know whether they have record on or not. You're in a public space and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. So how are we as humans going to react to that? I don't quite know.
They have that anyway. You've seen fights between two people holding phones all the time. You're like, I'm recording you, but I'm recording you too. And like, so it's all about
motorcycle riders. It seems to be a strong look. This is the next evolution of GoPro, right? I used to have a GoPro, and if I'm a creator, I strap it to the side of my helmet or whatever. And now I don't have to do that. Now I can wear glasses, and it's for a creator who's doing those kind of streams. Or I think of the crazy mountain bikers that go down the big, the crazy hills and the jumps and the urban things. Like, I don't have to strap a GoPro. I just have to put the glasses on, put my helmet on, and go. And I can ask Meta AI along the way for different things, or to clip this video for me.
We gotta go, but battery life? Are you kidding me? There's no way this is gonna have a long battery life. And I mean, it might have a lot of
2 hours or something.
Yeah, it might have plenty of storage, but there's no way. Yeah, we gotta go. GLDR. I think we already did it.
Well, does anybody? No, I want to make sure anybody else gets their take on it. Does anybody have some final thoughts specific on all the stuff we just talked about Meta, where it's going or anything like that? Any wrap up thoughts here?
I'm just super excited about the glasses, and I'd like to know what's the one thing everyone is super excited about these announcements.
Are you going to buy them, Jimmy?
Yeah, I'm gonna buy them. I'm totally
okay. I look forward to seeing them here on the thing.
I'm going to buy them too. Yep.
I have 2 TLDRs. One is Facebook turned into Meta is an incredible technology company. Don't forget that. It's not just a platform for discussion among family or friends. The second thing is authenticity, as Robert was saying, is really important. And understanding what's really the authentic expression of a human is something we don't want to lose. And I just want to say that Robert is authentically a really nice, not prickly guy. and that shines through, even though he pushes back all the time.
Oh, gee. Thanks, Andy. I appreciate it.
I think the glasses, whether these glasses are successful or not, I think it is something that is in our future, right? I mean, it seems to be a place where most of these tech companies are looking at, okay, there's something here. Maybe it's not in the iterations that have happened so far, but this is an augmented reality situation that is going to come. And I'm not sure how I feel about it, but that's the wicked question about it.
It's going to be a whole new world, and not all of it is going to be physical.
A whole new world.
There you go. Take us out. Take us out, Robert. Hold on a second. Let me get the slide straight. I want to go on the music. Go ahead. Sing it for us.
I don't know the lyrics. All I know is a whole new world. That's all I know. Sorry.
I love it. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Aloha.